Well, hello YouTubers. Welcome back to my classroom. I'm sorry these videos from chapter 12 are getting up so late. There's been some childcare difficulties this weekend, to say the least. But they're here, so hopefully you're getting your homework done and understanding these things in time. We're going to look in this first video at a series of new emperors in China, which usher in kind of a golden age in Chinese history. And the three names that we're going to be looking at are three emperors who were in succession of one another. So we're going to first start with Wendi, then we're going to go to Yangdi, his son, and finally Yuan, who was not related but began a new dynasty. So very quickly, China, if we review in order to understand these words a little bit better, China had gone through kind of warlord rule and decentralized government for about 300 years following the fall of the Han dynasty to the Huns. And so if you last recall, the last time we talked about China, the Huns had overrun China and the central bureaucracy had kind of collapsed and the Han dynasty ended. So it's been a long time since China has had a central dynasty, and this is what these three emperors kind of share in common, is that they ushered in this new age where China was back into this dynastic cycle. So let's start with the Sui dynasty, or S-U-I, Sui dynasty. And the first word is Wendi. Wendi was the first emperor of the Sui dynasty. That's it. So what? Well, he brought China back from decentralized government and started his new dynasty by conquering and uniting north and south kingdoms and warlords within China. So his way was usually very military-minded, and he was seeking to create another united China. So here he comes. He gets the mandate of heaven because he's able to successfully conquer these other warlords throughout China, and Wendi becomes the emperor, the first emperor of a new dynasty, and in fact, the first of two. So the second word, the emperor, is Yangdi, who is Wendi's son. So Wendi was the second emperor of the Sui dynasty, and he's said to have murdered his father in order to gain his position. So what? Well, Yangdi is the one who led to the collapse of the Sui dynasty, particularly because of his excessive emphasis on luxury and his inability to kind of keep the people happy socially. He conscripted lots and lots of people to do work on his palace. He paid less attention to the needs of his people and more attention to the needs of himself, or the wants of himself, which therefore led to his downfall and demise. And this happened at the hands of Yuan. So Yuan is our third word, and he is the first emperor of the Tang dynasty. So Yuan was the Duke of Tang and led the rebellion against his former employer, the Emperor Yangdi, and ended up winning this rebellion. Yangdi is now dead. The Sui dynasty is done after only about 30 years of being in power, and the Tang dynasty begins. The Tang dynasty would last from the early 600s to the early 900s, so a 300-year dynasty, much more successful. So what? So Yangdi ushered in this golden age in Chinese history. He went back to creating a strong, educated bureaucracy, revamping the examination system so that there was Confucianism was still central to Chinese politics, and essentially allowed more peace within China through fairly extensive warfare. So these three guys, Wendi, Yangdi, both Sui emperors, and then Yuan, who was the Tang emperor, the first Tang emperor, all ushered in this new golden age of Chinese history. Be awesome, YouTubers.